Hi there, welcome to Ripple Wyckoff Technical Analysis session. So, last week we talked about Ripple eventually broke out from this pendant. So this pendant over here is already covered. However, immediately after that, it challenged the blue key level of $3.05, and both last week and this week failed so far to claim a place closing above that level. Currently we're sitting at around $3, 2.9942. The key point is, as I put into the title, is getting into another decision point. Reason being, this upward channel box, this light blue box over here, is crossing, the bottom edge is crossing the blue key level. So that forms a triangle right over here. And next week is the last chance that the price stays within this triangle. So that's where the decision point comes. What's the decision? Very simple. You already get it. Either it continues with this upward channel, meaning the uptrend is still going on, or it's going to fall outside of the channel and starts another new trend. Whether it's going to be a downtrend or just a short-term downward movement, and then eventually it develops another new upward channel, it's too early to tell. But if we look at the Wyckoff stages, it may give us some hint, because again, two hypotheses, but for Ripple, the yellow scenario is weaker compared to the Ethereum and Bitcoin yellow scenario that I covered. So let's focus on the blue. The blue is when the buying climax happened back in December last year, and by the time we got to January, we've got an upthrust already. It's basically within less than 2 months time. Those two happened, and then we dropped to a point where we've got this period. It looks like an accumulation, honestly. If you treat this as a selling climax, automatic rally, and then a second test, a sign of strength, and then a subsequent test before it goes up, it really looks like a high or like high price point accumulation to me. But I'm going to count that as a late stage distribution, like before we get to the upwards of the distribution, because those points are basically at the same level as the automatic reaction. If we treat that as a buying climax, this automatic reaction around Christmas time last year, these weaknesses, sign of weaknesses, are basically around that level. So I haven't considered this as an accumulation, even though, like I said just now, I can plug in all those tags here and it works fine. I still consider that just part of the distribution, and that's where we are landing right now. An upthrust, an LPSY, and another LPSY going on. If I turn into the line chart, you see these peaks, right? That's why I'm putting that over here. And if this is really the case, it can certainly come down to show us the sign of weakness. Not only that it's like staying at that high at the green level, it's actually going to test the yellow level. It's sitting here because I'm trying to tell you it's going to test these two. It's probably going to bounce somewhere here between 205 and 245. Okay, having said that, it's close enough. It's going to happen next week. And let's go to the daily chart, but I just want to quickly check one thing. Bollinger Band cone squeeze currently doesn't show as a squeeze happening. So last time it happened was back in end of June, where we've got this spike, and now it's just building up. The squeeze hasn't happened yet. So let's move to the daily. Here, if we look at the daily, it's not exactly within the triangle. It kind of trying to break outside of it already before we even get to there. So in candlestick pattern analysis, this is an ascending triangle. So according to the textbook theory, the price should go up in such a scenario, but is behaving in a way that I can't just rely on that because it popping outside of this horizontal line, so it's not exactly flat. We don't really, or we can't really count that as an ascending triangle in from my own perspective. What I'm going to do is to move this line where we previously predict the breakout would happen when we get closer to mid September, and that it happened already. So this line, let's adjust and see what's going to happen next. What's the time frame? If I move it to here, what happens is it's coincidentally crossing the blue key level as well. So 3 lines all pointing to this point, this date, September 29th. It's only 10 days from now. That's the final decision date. So even if it's not an ascending triangle, if we treat this as a pennant, so meaning this line combined with the bottom edge of the upward channel box, if we treat this as a pennant, then the breakout will soon happen within 10 days time. The price can still basically try to play, clicking the wrong thing, yeah, this is what I want to click. So it can still try to trade sideways for a few more days, but eventually it has to show us, are you going to show us a second test or even an up thrust? It's not going to be at that level if it's an up thrust. If it's an up thrust, it's probably going to be somewhere around the center line of this upward channel. That's totally fine. I explained in other charts that the price can bounce between the two, the ceiling and the bottom, but it can exhibit behavior that's trading only around half, or basically at 1/2 of the box. That's what it did for a pretty long while, since mid-August, so over a month now. So it will eventually get to this point where if it breaks out, it's going to challenge the purple key level of $3.38. If it doesn't, some people will say, hey, hang on a second, is this like a double top? It may be, and then that means it's going to come down, right? And like I said, we're only just few days away, like 10 days away from that, and not even 10, because I mentioned many times, the price doesn't wait till that last moment before it breaks out. So we're getting very close, really close. Why am I putting this AR2 over here? Because we were in previous session guessing that it's going to go up, and if that happens, that's probably where the AR2 would go. So I'm going to move it further down the timeline, and like I said, in the weekly chart. So if this is really coming down in the blue scenario, the second test chance, I see it's probably only just 25%, while the sign of weakness is probably 75% now. So I'm going to do the same. This is more like 25%, and this coming down for an automatic, not here, sorry, this follow this, so that's the 25%. What I'm trying to say is the sign of weakness. For it to come down to show us the sign of weakness, that's going to be 75%. Not too crazy, right? It's just a light blue key level of around $2.7. Yeah, it's totally possible. It tested this during beginning of this month, just a little bit more than 2 weeks ago, and also early August. So it might as well come down like in the beginning of October. So yeah, that's Ripple basically. We're getting to a decision point, both from a weekly and from a daily time window, and we're just only less than 2 weeks away from that point, and it can definitely happen quicker. So I hope I wasn't blocking the chart. Just notice I have been switching to that interface for a while. Let me do this. So again, just to quickly point out, in case I blocked the chart that you didn't see, the next week's candle is getting close to the decision point, and if we go to the daily, it basically tells us by September 29th that breakout has to happen. If it breaks to the upside, it's going to challenge the purple key level of 3.38. If it doesn't, it's going to fall outside of this upward channel box. The significance of this is the uptrend that started since March this year is going to change. It may develop a new uptrend, that's fine, or it's going to come down to show us a sign of weakness somewhere around the yellow key level of $2.05. So that's the big picture for Ripple. Thanks for joining me. See you in the next session.